Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to Duality 7X. I'm your host Shiraz. I've got some breaking news. Today I was going to be doing a video on a couple matches that are going to be featuring at UFC London. And I talked about how I was going to do this video, and then this breaking news came out. Shakur Stevenson. You guys remember Shakur Stevenson? He just took on Teofimo Lopez, and he beat him in a pretty much one-sided fight. That happened at Madison Square Garden, and apparently, Shakur Stevenson has been stripped of his WBC lightweight title, and this is huge, guys. This is huge. So I mean, Shakur Stevenson, beat Teofimo Lopez at Madison Square Garden, and somehow, days later, lost his WBC lightweight title without even having an opportunity to defend it. And so there's a lot of concerns, a lot of questions surrounding the timing of all this. It's definitely not accidental. It's not clean. And it's not a great look for boxing, especially in the era that we live in as we speak. So let's really talk about what this decision really says about Shakur, about the WBC, and about how power actually works in the world of boxing, especially combat sports right now. So guys, if you guys are new to this channel, please smash a like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you never miss a beat. So let's get right into it. Shakur Stevenson walked into Madison Square Garden, took on Teofimo Lopez, and this was for the WBC. Sorry, this was for the WBO super lightweight bout, and in a one-sided affair, Shakur Stevenson dominated that fight. He walked into Madison Square Garden as the WBC lightweight champion, walked out of Madison Square Garden as a WBC lightweight champion and the WBO super lightweight champion. And just days later, the WBC made an incredible move. And in a statement released on Wednesday by the sanctioning body, by WBC, they had announced that they have officially vacated Shakur Stevenson's lightweight title, citing its rules on how he holds a belt in another division. So I don't think... Okay, well, let me get into this. So the WBC essentially made the decision for Shakur Stevenson before he even publicly committed to staying at 140 pounds. Now, this is the same title that Shakur Stevenson won in November back in 2023 against Edwin De Los Santos. You guys remember that, right? And this was a fight, guys, that was widely criticized by as probably one of the most uneventful fights of the year. Now, fair or not, whatever, how you guys perceive it, it was a performance, honestly, that shaped a lot of public perception of Shakur Stevenson being a boring fighter. Anyhow, this is what stuff is being said about that fight. But look, here's the part that often gets ignored. After that fight, Shakur Stevenson quietly started to rebuild his momentum, started to work on his training and everything, and he got back into the groove of things. And look, two beautiful defenses, followed after that, and then came William Zepeda. Now, this is the fight that honestly changed the entire conversation. The fight that he had against Zepeda, well, Shakur Stevenson stood his ground. He traded, he exchanged with the fellow fighter. And those exchanges were unbelievable, guys. And it probably one of the most masterful boxing clinics anyone could have performed. It was absolutely entertaining. It was the performance of Shakur Stevenson's career. And this wasn't a win, it was a statement win. That is like to really show to the world that his style could evolve without having to sacrifice any serious control. This is the kind of confidence he needed, the kind of confidence he gained after that fight, and that took him right into this fight against Teofimo. Okay? Now, here's the thing about the WBC and their latest move. They're not criticizing the fact that Shakur Stevenson won another belt in the same division. I mean, you could have, like, if he won the WBO lightweight title, it wouldn't have been an issue. I think the issue here is the WBC doesn't like the fact that he just won a championship belt in a different division. I don't think a boxer can be in two different divisions at one time, or having belts in two different divisions at one time. Yeah, and I think it's the most recent belt that takes precedent over the others. So in this case, the WBC had a conversation. They made a decision, and they essentially stripped Shakur Stevenson of his title. This is crazy, guys. But I mean, these are the rules, right? So look, is it about the rules, or is this about leverage, right? The WBC, guys, as we know it, still has an interim champion, okay? Jadir Herrera, all right? And with William Cepeda, kind of sitting as a top-ranked contender for that, in that division, like whether Herrera is elevated or whether the organization starts to reshuffle, make some moves, with their deck entirely, this remains super unclear, right? There's a lot of consistency here in terms of the caliber of fighters and how great these guys are, but it's really hard to say what exactly is going to happen, because now, like, we have that interim champion, right? You have a contender, and now you just stripped your top fighter of that belt. Shakur Stevenson just proved that he's probably one of the best fighters in the world after that unbelievable dominance against Teofimo Lopez, right? And look, there's a lot of boxing politics, all right? And there's a lot of people crying foul. A lot of people very disappointed in the WBC and the sanctioning bodies. And, look, these are the kind of boxing politics that fans don't like. And it, rather quickly reminded everyone of how fragile titles really are, right? There's definitely a lot of boxing politics when it comes to repping and wearing these titles. Now, the UFC, Dana White with Zuffa Boxing is trying to control. He's trying to change the narrative, not control the narrative. He's trying to change the narrative. He's trying to, essentially what he's trying to do is to be able to show that, look, we can have an organization, we can have a lot of fighters, and we're going to try to be self-contained, similar to how the UFC operates. And like, there's a lot of different MMA organizations out there, but the UFC is a self-contained MMA organization. And so the belts all stay in-house. You don't have fighters in the UFC also repping and fighting, competing for other belts in other organizations. You have to pick and choose. And so it's essentially, this is what Dana White's trying to create with Zuffa, and he's trying to get it to the point where fighters can be under one umbrella and only need to be under one umbrella. You only need one belt. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting to kind of see what happens there. But anyways, guys, this is shocking news. We'll try to come up. We'll try to provide more information as it becomes available. But right now, this is kind of where we're at, and there's definitely some tweets here that Shakur Stevenson is pissed. He's not happy. Being stripped of the WBC lightweight title. You could pretty much read the comments, right? He's like, look, I could take this money that I would have normally given the sanctioning body, and I could give it to my baby girl. And you know what? There's other fighters have done the same. I mean, look at Terrence Bud Crawford. He did exactly that. Rather than wanting to pay the fees for the WBC, for the sanctioning body, for the WBC belt, he decided to opt out. And he's like, screw this. I'm not going to pay the $300,000 that's expected of me. I just don't need this anymore. And that caused a huge kerfuffle. A lot of back and forth between, WBC and Terrence Crawford. But now a lot of fighters are starting to think, and they're like, you know what? Do I really want to pay these sanctioning bodies just to be able to keep their belts? So it's a very, very interesting time. We have to see what the WBC thinks and says about all this. But this is breaking news, guys. It's absolutely crazy, from sanctioning fees to leverage, boxing politics. This is the kind of side of combat sports that fans don't always see and don't care for. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens in the days ahead. And I'm pretty sure Dana White's got a lot to say about this. Guys, thank you for sticking around. If you guys enjoyed this, please smash a like and subscribe. Hit the notification so you never miss a beat. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to cover the fight that's going to happen in UFC London. There's some unbelievable matches that I really want to talk about. I want to get to. So I can't wait to. I'm looking forward to it. In the meantime, guys, please make sure to comment. I read all of the comments, and yeah, UFC London is going to be good. We're going to talk about Evloev versus Leroy Murphy, and lots to discuss, guys. So have a great night. We'll chat with you guys in the next video.